tasked with assembling an elite team to travel through time. All your worlds are about to change.
Hey guys, Nick here. Welcome back to another Legends of Tomorrow episode review. My thoughts on tonight's episode of Legends of Tomorrow titled The Magnificent Eight. And okay, I gotta say, this was like one of my favorite episodes of the show so far. Just like the whole Western vibe of the episode, like going to the Old West, seeing Jonah Hex. Just so much I loved about this episode. It was cheesy, it was over the top, and I loved every second of it. Like this is the kind of kind of episodes I want from this show. Like going back to the Old West, like going to all these different time periods. Like it's a time travel show, and I feel like they're not utilizing time travel as much as I would want them to, or at least in a more cool and I don't know, like cheesy way. I don't know, like this episode, like it was like because it's the Old West, and we've all seen like old Western movies and all that kind of stuff. So in this episode, we see like everyone go to the Old West, and I don't know, I just feel like every time we saw, you know, like that Salvation Town or whatever, every time they went to the saloon or whatever, you kind of knew where it was going because we've all seen those movies before. Like, and honestly, I feel like whenever we saw those scenes, sorry, I'm just going over my notes here. I love that vibe of the Old West, kind of like how Ray Palmer was being in the Old West. That's almost how I felt watching them in the Old West. Like just seeing everyone in a different kind of setting, and just kind of embracing, you know, hey, we're in the Old West, so like everyone's like obviously dressed in like in the Old West, you know, clothing. Everyone's kind of like rated, like the fact that it's titled The Magnificent Eight, and because it's based off that movie, or like a play on that title, The Magnificent Seven, or even The Hateful Eight, which is like that Tarantino movie that just came out not too long ago. Just I don't know, there's something about the Old West that's just like really cool to me, that like even though like we've all seen it before, just like that, those kinds of movies, like especially like I grew up watching the Back to the Future movies, and obviously Back to the Future 3 was like one of my favorite of those three, and it's that Old West was just like, it was just, I don't know, there's something about it that's just so cool to me. So watching this episode, I loved every single second of it. So to go over what else I enjoyed in this episode, I like how whenever the team goes to any time period, and Rip's like, don't screw up, and you can even tell he's like, yeah, they're not going to listen, are they? Like, every time they go somewhere, the team always does something to screw it up. They're always getting in bar fights, they're always getting some sort of fight with someone. And it's just, like, it's so predictable, but it's like, okay, like, it's the Old West, so who can really blame them? But one of my favorite aspects of the episode was finally seeing Jonah Hex, a character from the comics that, you know, most of us have are at least aware of. I mean, they had that Jonah Hex movie. I never saw it, but I heard it was like really bad. It was one with Josh Brolin, I think, and Megan Fox. And a lot of people hated that movie. They hated that interpretation of the character. So, you know, I'm not gonna, you know, go out and watch it. But the Jonah Hex character has always been kind of cool to me because like he's a character that he's very aware of people coming in from the future to help him out in the Old West, but at the same time he's a cool badass, and even with like the way his face is all melted and like all in front of his lip and everything, he just looks cool. And the way he was handling this episode, like obviously showing that he has a history with Rip from a couple years before, and just seeing that like again he's aware, like he knew right away that like everyone like the group from Legends, they were all like, he's like, okay, when are you from? Like he didn't believe their crap, and I loved that. And you know what's funny? Like not too many people are gonna catch on to this, but the guy who was like the leader of that gang that they ended up fighting, who Rip ends up shooting in the end, that actor actually played Dr. Fate in Smallville. He's not like a big actor or anything, but it's just kind of funny. It's like I picked up on that because I recognize the actor because I watched that episode of Smallville so many times because it had Hawkman and all that stuff in it. But I feel like I'm again the only one who's really gonna recognize that actor. But seeing, I mean, plus these are all shows shot in Vancouver, so he was probably in the area, and they gave him a call, and he was like, oh, "Okay, I'll do it." I mean, it was fine. I mean, it was again cheesy, so he didn't really need to be there for like a thespian kind of performance, like, you know. So there's that. One of the things I did enjoy about the episode that wasn't like action packed or really story driven or anything was finding out that, you know, Rip's son Jonah was actually named after Jonah Hex because Jonah Hex had such an impact on him, and seeing how really Rip was really affected by being in the Old West, because it was, again, like, it's kind of the way it was for Ray. You find out it was like even more so the case with Rip, and he didn't want to leave, and he felt so drawn to it. And that was the problem of like when he left, like that gang like sacked that town and like burned that town to the ground. So seeing how that affected him, and ultimately like it did have an influence on him. That's why he has that one like 6-shooting like future gun, which ends up giving one Jonah Hex. So that arrow, you could tell, has had a real effect on Rip, and like kind of how he is and how he carries himself, and for him to have that moment in the end when he had the high noon shooting and he ends up shooting the guy, that was a cool moment. I mean, again, cheesy, but I like that moment for Rip. Another thing about the episode that I actually really liked was, Kendra and Sarah going off to search that lady that, Kendra first bumped into at the bar, or the saloon, or whatever. I don't know. It's all the same thing. So we go to find out that lady is actually Kendra's past life. Obviously very old and withered, but that's Kendra's past life right there. The only thing that took me out of it, because I feel like that actress was not an actress of color. So it was just like, wait a minute, that she doesn't really look like a futuristic Kendra, because she kind of looks like another white lady. I don't know. Anyways, that's besides the point. So seeing that character, and that character having a little more history, having more memories of their past lives, and telling her, hey, I've tried to fall in love. Whenever Carter died, I've always tried to move on, but at the end of the day, it never worked out because it just ended in disaster. And giving a little more perspective for Kendra and her relationship with Ray, because, obviously she's destined to be with Carter, but she wants to love Ray, and she's already in love with Ray, and she's having that inner conflict, and seeing how that's affecting her. And by the end of the episode, she realizes that she wants to be with Ray, and that's something that I brought up a couple of episodes ago. That, despite her destiny, she's wanting to choose Ray. And I like that. I mean, I still don't care for their relationship all that much, but I do like the idea of, she wants to be able to choose who she loves. Even though she knows at the end of the day it's probably not going to work out, she'd rather at least know that, it's her choice and not just, destiny telling her it's going to go this way, So I like seeing that struggle within her. And I gotta say, the action in this episode was great. All the gunfights, everything, it just, this episode felt like a Western movie, the way it was shot, especially when they were raiding the that gang's camp, and it's all foggy and misty and all in that that. It just felt really eerie and felt very Westerny and kind of dark, and I really liked that. And even when they had that battle in the town, that felt really cool. This just felt like a different kind of episode. This kind of episode again that I've been wanting since the show started. Going out and going all these different time periods. Actually, going to fun time periods, going to interesting time periods. Not just the 80s, the 70s, the 50s. I feel like that's what they've been doing. The first couple of episodes I enjoyed, and the episodes I've liked the most so far are the episode when they were stuck in Star City in the future, this episode, and the first 2 parts of the pilot. But everything else is good, but not great. This was a great episode. So this is going to that time period. I kind of like I said earlier. I felt like it was really cool to see that time period. And we've all seen it before, but seeing it in a different kind of light, where we had all these futuristic characters interacting with these Western characters, and seeing Jonah Hex. So yeah, and honestly, with that being said, I think that's gonna be it. Again, this is a great episode. I don't need to keep reminding you guys. So yeah, that's going to be it. So if you guys like what you see here, go ahead and hit subscribe below. I do review all these superhero shows every week. Well, most of them anyway. I review Supergirl on Mondays. And actually, Monday is the Supergirl Season 1 finale if you guys want to catch that. Tuesday, obviously, I review Flash. And Thursday is Legends of Tomorrow. I no longer review Arrow. If you guys watch any of my videos, you know that, I've given up on the show after last week and what they did to a certain character and just the way that show's been handled. So I gave up on Arrow, so I'm not going to be watching or reviewing that show anymore. But obviously I'm going to be continuing to watch Legend of Tomorrow and review that. And have a bunch of other videos and stuff on my channel. I like trailer reviews, movie reviews, all that kind of stuff. If you guys want to check that out. So yeah, that's going to be it. So until next time, guys, have a good one.